Welcome back, and thanks so much for joining us for the second hour of We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. I feel so freaking bad because due to my StreamYard shenanigans, I was unable to notice that my speaker didn't have its sound on. So, yeah, how about that? Just making sure my sound is working here. Looks like it's working. If my mic's too hot, let me know. Let me just go over here and turn that down a bit. Hopefully that's better. All right. So I apologize again, Spreaker peeps. You guys have been here for a very long time, and I totally let you go. Man, really makes me feel like a doofus. A doofus for sure. All right, checking everything really quick. All right, so let's get back into our TikToks. And if we do run out of TikToks tonight, I'll be really surprised. But if we do, we'll look up some things that we've been talking about between scenes. So let's get on with it with this here lovely letter. Yep, we already did her. Let's move on to the next one.
I asked artificial intelligence to show me a Stargate. I asked artificial intelligence to show me a Stargate.
The gate in another dimension. Is Stargate real? The gate in another...
Okay, so that reminds me of a few things. So we've seen things that are like darker circles, and I think those may be bugs. Some people have said birds, but I think they're bugs, or they could be smoke. And then as far as this video goes, it reminds me of the one where there was a guy, I believe in a hotel room, or it could have just been his bedroom, that was working on basically time travel, but not like going from where he was to Moab, I believe it was, through this portal or gate or whatever you want to call it. And then after this had happened, nobody ever heard from him again. So it makes me wonder if it's really true that he was able to unlock that. That would be interesting.
In the early 1900s, a series of remarkable stone structures were discovered in remote locations around the world. These amazing artifacts, known as stone stargates, captivated the imagination of archaeologists, historians, and conspiracy theorists alike. Carved with intricate patterns and symbols, their true purpose remains shrouded in mystery. Ancient folklore, however, spoke of these stargates as devices used by civilizations from distant solar systems to travel across the cosmos. By the 1950s, almost all the stargates had vanished without a trace, fueling rumors of government cover-ups and hidden agendas. Some theorized that governments around the world systematically confiscated the stargates and concealed them in top-secret facilities. Their whereabouts remain unknown. In the early 1900s,
what exactly is a New Earth Stargate? Those were three different things for those of you on Spreaker that didn't see it, but it was 12 locations of Stargates, 12 of the most powerful places in the world, and 12 Mother New Earth stargates. Like, what? I don't even know what's going on with that. But that is by I Am Earth 1111.
These portals seem like they link our world to another universe. It seems like the military knows about them. Could this be alien technology left behind? These portals seem like they link our world to another universe. It seems like the military knows about them. Could this be alien technology left behind?
You wouldn't believe the stuff I have in my vault. I mean, parts of ETs and parts of spacecraft.
We gotta take a visit. Where are the aliens?
We have captured that through electronic warfare systems. I'm sure there's several thousand species. Now, I know that there's a facility out in the desert near Tombstone, Arizona, called Fort Huachuca. It's Army Intelligence Headquarters. I've been out there. I've known a couple of the heads of Army Intelligence, and there's a dumb out there, deep underground military base that has 9 ET craft and autopsy bodies. I know guys who've worked in that facility. 9 different craft, and they're from different civilizations. So, you know, there are all these stereotypes of this. You know, it's like the big bug-eyed thing. That's not what it is. That's just all the caricatures that, you know,
media
idiots. But when I started this project in 1990, it was really for people to do what's called close encounters of the fifth kind, which is when humans initiate the contact. And within a couple years, we had 4 of these ET craft pop in. You wouldn't believe the stuff I have in my vault.
Just the faces he makes, but I didn't even know about the place there he was talking about. And they call them DUMBs, deep underground military bases. Pretty interesting.
This is real crazy. This is an object orbiting the planet, which was detected in the late 1800s by Nikola Tesla first. He picked up a signal from it. It is giving off a signal that has been decoded as being the Epsilon Boötis constellation. The big deal about that is it's giving the location of the constellation where it was in the sky 13,000 years ago. And this looks like a Type 1, Type 2 civilization that's cloaked in Epsilon. It was changing its own orbits. It was in a first equatorial orbit, then it went to a polar orbit. This thing is under intelligent control. It's about 15,000 tons. And so what happened was the United States saw it up there, Russia saw it up there. Russia thought it was us, we thought it was Russia. We both said, wait a minute, we can't launch nothing like this. We don't even have this kind of technology. They're afraid to touch it, they're afraid to move into it. They don't know if it's gonna have a defense mechanism or whatever. When Sputnik was launched in 1964, it followed Sputnik to the moon. So they really started looking at this thing and analyzing it. And we finally got a chance to see it close up personal with the STS mission. It's actually on the space agency servers. This is real crazy. This is
So I don't know if you guys have heard of this. They call it the Black Knight. Some people call it that. I had no idea that Tesla had encountered or known of this. I know he was sending frequencies and such to space, but I didn't know that he was receiving them. I know some of the BS-ery that the government has told us, because you know how they are. It's like parents lying to their children, but that it was a space blanket that actually came out of one of the spaceships, and they just haven't been able to catch it again. But yes, because if it's been up there since the late 1800s or even farther back than that, what the heck is that?
when you take all the temples that are around the pyramid and the other 2 pyramids that are next to it, and you look at it from the sky looking down, and you connect them, you get a inner planet system of our solar system. You get the sun in the middle, you get Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. So you get the interplanetary solar system from Giza looking straight down. And what's incredible is when you take the NASA interplanetary solar map and you overlay it on that diagram, it matches down to the millimeter. Was NASA around back then? The Great Pyramid, over 2 million blocks of stone, and nobody realized that they're all different 2 million blocks. They're all, each individual stone is totally different from the other one. The mud ram theory, which is you need more mass than the Great Pyramid in mud to actually have the mud ramps. So now you have to move more mass than the 2 billion blocks to make the ramp. When you take all...
I don't believe it was made by mankind. I think it's possible that it was alien technology. I know that our little buddy there, I believe Scotland that built the Coral Castle, actually was uneducated, like he was self-educated, and he figured out how people or humans or whoever did this with sound frequencies and different metals, etc., etc. He was able to build the coral castle not once, but twice by himself. So that's pretty intriguing. Giants, I do believe giants exist. I don't know. Like he's saying, it would take more mud to make the mud ramps to build this than it would to make the actual pyramid. So I don't know. Things are actually clearing up. Things are starting to make sense as far as a lot of these things go.
So apparently we know of 69 different alien species.
These are just catalog 69 different species, different life forms. There's one species that at full adulthood is about 1.5 feet. There's another species that's 10 or 12 feet. The ones that people often refer to are around 3 to 4 feet, 39 inches or so tall. We have very good forensic drawings from men who've been on the retrieval teams of what these various species look like. The reason they keep coming back, number one, is not a coincidence that the modern era of all this started when we started detonating atomic bombs. What Edward Teller and Oppenheimer didn't understand when they were developing that is that when you detonate an atomic bomb, you get, everybody knows about an electromagnetic pulse, the pulse that goes out, knocks out all electronic communication. What people didn't know about is there's also a pulse of what's called scalar energy. And scalar is faster than the speed of light.
So apparently we know of 69 different alien.
Another world discovered in Florida. What? What are we looking at? This is so weird. Generated stuff.
I actually have a picture of two ETs. So this is one, and you know he
pointy little head,
very triangular shaped head, almost like a beak-like face. We have another one that happened at Joshua Tree National Park about 15 years ago. It's an extraterrestrial being that's sort of levitating, floating out in the desert just outside our circle. So yeah, we have a lot of unusual material. About 30 witnesses to this. This photograph was taken with a really good Nikon camera by David Marconi, who concluded, number one, we're not alone in the universe, and number two, who's making contact with them, right? Not the State Department or the UN. So we started a project called the CE5 Contact Program. And we know that the technologies they have are what are known as trans-dimensional technologies. Crack the Rosetta Stone of contact with these civilizations, which we have. So that ended up being, I actually have a picture of two ETs.
Puts the forehead in there, and the shaman taught him a sound frequency said with symbols. Jerry has shared it with me and has asked me never ever to repeat it. If Jerry got his forehead and did this chanting of this frequency just correctly, he would literally disappear and would go to another dimension, the dimension of where the gods live, and hopefully come back.
I was going to ask, can you come back?
His wife is 100 feet away. She is watching the entire scene. Jerry gets down on his knees. He leans forward with his forehead. He puts it in the rock. Many, many times he says this frequency. She sees him disappear, literally. He goes to a white place. It's like a laboratory. It has a hard floor. And then this male voice comes and starts talking to him. What happens next with Jerry? We can at least share his words.
Said that I was on another world, that it was outside of my universe. So I wanted to understand how that's possible. And he says, well, there are many universes, and you have just passed from yours into ours. All right, so where is this universe? He said, it wouldn't do me any good to even try to explain it to you. I asked him how I'd gotten there. Well, apparently, whoever they are had been very curious about the nature of the universe. They tried to recreate a model of the universe. He was talking about how they were colliding particles, and somehow a spark had occurred, and the spark didn't go away. Instead, it started growing. And as it grew, it started accumulating and creating more of itself on its own. It was quite large, and they had created another universe. They weren't planning on doing this. And it had evolved, and it evolved quite rapidly. I said, well, I don't understand this because we think the universe is billions and billions of years old. He says, well, where you are, you measure time much differently. Time is different in every universe. And when he was telling me about this, they were really very afraid that it was going to continue growing and it would just overwhelm them, and then what would happen to them? And that what they had discovered is that they were inside of someone else's universe, just like we were inside of theirs. He says it's just layers and layers. There's very little that separates one from the other. And they had learned that life had started to populate throughout that universe.
They had made.
Yeah, they were fascinated by this, curious as can be how this was possible. And this doorway that I had gone through was something that they had put in place. They had these doorways throughout our universe in various places. They had been sending scientists in there to study the universe because this was a whole new realm of science for them to explore. And when they started discovering life in there, well, they were pretty shocked. Apparently, I'm not the only person who'd ever come through that doorway. And apparently these doorways go to other places on this planet as well as to other planets. The only thing that I can figure is that moving from one point to another was outside the dynamic of time altogether, that these doorways are instantaneous passageways to other places.
How did he know how to make these tones or to make these tones? Uh-oh. What is happening? Where's my sound? All right. Let's go back up.
Puts the forehead in.
Oh. Guess there's no sound to this? Let me see if I can zoom in and see if there is. And it's just... yeah, it's just muted. Let me turn that up. Oh, it says sound isn't available. Well, I don't like that. Because the story that he shares is just really amazing. And he had mentioned, like, that he lost his family. And this is talking about his experience or his encounter with aliens and alien abduction, and telling his family and how after that they were so afraid to be around him because they didn't want to get abducted too. So he basically lost his family.
I know of multiple devices that would literally save humanity and the planet. What they don't know is that there's a longitudinal wave that is faster than the speed of light that disrupts the fabric and communication and propulsion guidance systems of extraterrestrial vehicles. This is why they came in huge force in the 40s and 50s. This creates an existential threat for the whole planet, that we have people who don't understand it, who should, and the people who do understand it are weaponizing those systems. Secrecy surrounding UFOs is a threat to the national security. I mean, there are huge implications for this mistake that was made almost a century ago. We know what they are, where they come from, which ones are man-made and which ones are extraterrestrial. In this deep, dark secrecy, there are existential threat to life on Earth. That's what's happening. I know of multiple devices that would literally save humanity and the planet. What they don't know is that
there's so many things that Tesla came up with, so many things that many different people came up with that government agencies or people have bought or stolen and hidden away because they don't want us to know about it. They want to get rich. They want the almighty dollar, etc. So, that's more important than the destruction of our planet and our race, basically.
Perpetual motion. Victor Schauberger, an Austrian forester, naturalist, and inventor, spent a significant portion of his life studying the dynamics of water flow and natural energy. Born in 1885, Schauberger's observations of the natural world led him to develop theories and inventions that many have since associated with the concept of perpetual motion, a principle proposing a machine or system that can operate indefinitely without an external source of energy. It's crucial to note, however, that Schauberger himself never claimed to have developed perpetual motion machines. Instead, his focus was on understanding and utilizing the natural power of the Earth, particularly vortices in water flow, which he believed could be harnessed for beneficial purposes. Schauberger's approach was deeply rooted in his observation of nature. He believed that modern technology and engineering ignored the harmonious principles found in natural systems, which, according to him, could lead to energy generation without the cost of environmental degradation. His famous aphorism, "Understand nature, then copy nature," reflects the core of his philosophy. Schauberger argued that water, when allowed to flow in a vortex, could create its own energy through implosion, a concept that stood in contrast to the explosion-based technologies like combustion engines, which dominate human technology. One of Schauberger's most notable contributions was his research into vortex dynamics. He observed that water in rivers and streams naturally follows a meandering spiral path, and posited that this motion is essential for maintaining the water's vitality and energy. By mimicking these patterns, Schauberger invented several devices intended to produce energy or propulsion. His repulsion, for example, was a saucer-shaped machine designed to generate propulsion through a series of specially designed wave-like patterns that would create a vortex of air or water. This device captured the imagination of many, leading to speculation that Schauberger had unlocked the secrets of perpetual motion and free energy. His work attracted the attention of the Nazi regime during World War II, and there are accounts of him being coerced into developing his inventions for military use, an experience that reportedly left him disillusioned and wary of the potential misuse of his discoveries. After the war, Schauberger continued his research, but his inventions never achieved the commercial success or scientific recognition he hoped for. The controversy surrounding Schauberger's work intensified after he was taken into custody by U.S. intelligence agents and held for 9 months. During this period, all of his documents and prototypes were confiscated, and he was interrogated about his inventions and his activities during the war. This episode has fueled speculation suggesting that Schauberger's innovations in harnessing natural energies were of such potential that they were considered a threat to the established scientific, economic, and political order, leading to their alleged suppression by the U.S. government.
See, somebody's got to get on this and come back out with this. I don't know. 9 months in prison, then stealing his stuff. It's just like Tesla. He had tons, well, many, many crates full of different prototypes and blueprints, etc. And then all that was left was, I think, 4 or 8. I can't remember exactly. Not as much as he had before. Freaking government took it.
That the alkalines of our DNA follow regular grammar and have set rules just like our languages. So human languages did not appear coincidentally, but are a reflection of our inherent DNA. Dr. Lee Bartell, a professor emeritus of music and health and music education, is a leading researcher and expert on how our cells are affected by sound. He explores how sound can stimulate cells in your body and brain to reduce the impact of fibromyalgia pain, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, and depression, and even increase blood flow. A common consumer vibroacoustic device is used to treat these health conditions. Researchers found that they could document brain cells firing at the frequency of the stimulus. Therefore, they could use a stimulus to bring about desired brain states, like delta sleep, which measures about 40 hertz. That the
Wouldn't that piss off the pharmaceutical company if you use this? They wouldn't be making their money. Neither would the doctors that prescribe it to you.
If you awaken from this illusion, and you understand that black implies white, self implies other, life implies death, or shall I say, death implies life, you can feel yourself not as a stranger in the world, not as something here on probation, not as something that has arrived here by fluke, but you can begin to feel your own existence as absolutely fundamental. I'm not trying to sell you on this idea in the sense of converting you to it. I want you to play with it. I want you to think of its possibilities. I'm not trying to prove it. I'm just putting it forward as a possibility of life to think about. So then, let's suppose that you were able every night to dream any dream you wanted to dream. And that you could, for example, have the power within one night to dream 75 years of time. Or any length of time you wanted to have. And you would naturally, as you began on this adventure of dreams, you would fulfill all your wishes. You would have every kind of pleasure you conceived. And after several nights of 75 years of total pleasure each, you would say, well, that was pretty great. But now let's have a surprise. Let's have a dream which isn't under control. Well, something is going to happen to me that I don't know what it's going to be. And you would dig that and come out of that and say, wow, that was a close shave, wasn't it? Then you would get more and more adventurous, and you would make further and further out gambles as to what you would dream. And finally, you would dream where you are now. You would dream the dream of living the life that you are actually living today. That would be within the infinite multiplicity of choices you would have, of playing that you weren't God. Because the whole nature of the Godhead, according to this idea, is to play that he's not. So in this idea then, everybody is fundamentally the ultimate reality, not God in a politically kingly sense, but God in the sense of being the self, the deep down basic whatever there is. And you're all that, only you're pretending you're not.
I just put that in there just because I thought it was very inspirational and pretty interesting. Like, could you imagine if you could dream what you want to dream, and 75 years of that per night for how long? But for those of you that are just listening, that was by Mr. Alan Watts.
3 methods to practice simple energy manipulation. 1. Finding energy in your hands. Sit or stand in a comfortable position, and take a few deep breaths to relax. Close your eyes and focus your attention on your hands. Rub your hands together vigorously for a few seconds to generate heat. Slowly separate your hands while keeping your palms facing each other. Move your hands closer and farther apart, observing any sensations you feel between them. Try to perceive warmth, tingling, pulsating, or a magnetic-like pull. Don't worry if you don't feel anything at first. It can take time to develop this sensitivity. 2. Rubbing hands together. Sit or stand comfortably and relax. Rub your palms together briskly for about 30 seconds. As you rub, focus on the sensations in your hands. Notice any heat or tingling that arises. Slowly move your hands apart while keeping the palms facing each other, maintaining your focus on the energy sensations. Continue to move your hands closer together and farther apart, experimenting with different distances. Observe any changes in the sensations as you do so. 3. Sensing energy flow between objects. Choose 2 objects, such as 2 stones, crystals, or even your hands. Hold one object in each hand, feeling their texture and weight. Close your eyes, take deep breaths, and relax your body. Direct your attention to the objects in your hands and imagine a flow of energy between them. Visualize or sense this energy flow as a subtle current or connection. Pay attention to any sensations or changes you experience in your hands or the objects. Experiment with different ways of holding the objects or adjusting their positions to perceive variations in the energy flow. As you become more familiar with energy manipulation, you may develop a deeper sensitivity and connection to the subtle energies around you. 3 methods.
That's pretty cool. In the first step that they were talking about, like put your hands together, rub them together till you feel the heat. What I do is imagine a ball of light and make it bigger and bigger and bigger until it's a ball of protection of light that surrounds me. I learned that from my mentor Kat, but this is pretty interesting as well. So this is energy manipulation for beginners part 1. So this person is showing how they manipulate energy. You can somewhat similar to intuition kids.
Jim, have you gone beyond that?
How about Brian is...
Well, you know, it's been very interesting sitting on the stage and listening to my colleagues. But, you know, and I am far from experimental physicist, as you can imagine. But this is why experimental...
Which means you're a theorist. Yes.
Something like that.
Yeah, okay. It's code for I'm a theorist.
I'm a theorist, exactly. But my point is that it is always the case that it is our experimental colleagues that prevent us from forming a religion, because it is always grounded in what they can measure, as Martello keeps coming back to. And so although people can express either enthusiasm or dismay about where we are at a given point in time, I think that we need to be a little bit more humble and to understand that the process that we engage in is a constant flight from fantasy about what we would want to happen, and we query nature for that, and that query goes through experiment. So although this has probably been very entertaining for my audience here, I think that at the end of the day, we have to keep grounded in it's got to be about things that affect your lives, and those things are measurable things.
So where has this pursuit taken you?
Oh my God.
Where have you landed?
Why would you ask that?
I'm asking that here and now. It's New York City. It's Jim, have you gone beyond that?
How about Brian is...
Well, you know, it's been very interesting sitting on the stage and listening to my colleagues. But, you know, and I am far from experimental physicists, as you can imagine. But this is why experimental...
Which means you're a theorist. Yes.
How to mentally control the energy field. The journey to mentally control the energy field all starts with the recognition that your thoughts hold immense power. They are the architects of your reality, shaping the world around you in ways both subtle and profound. In the words of the great philosopher Lao Tzu, Watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions. Watch your actions, they become your habits. Watch your habits, they become your character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. Indeed, every thought you entertain sends ripples throughout the energy field, influencing the course of events in ways that may not always be immediately apparent. Like a master alchemist blending various elements to create gold, we must learn to harness the power of our thoughts and emotions to transmute the energy around us. To begin cultivating mastery over the energy field, start by becoming aware of your thoughts. Observe them without judgment, like clouds passing through the sky. Notice the patterns and tendencies that arise, and gently redirect your focus towards thoughts that align with your highest intentions. One powerful technique for harnessing the creative power of your thoughts is magnetic visualization. Magnetic visualization is a practice that involves mentally projecting and manipulating magnetic energy to manifest desired outcomes and experiences. By engaging the power of imagination and intention, magnetic visualization allows you to actively shape and direct the flow of magnetic energy within and around you, thereby influencing your reality on a profound level. To practice magnetic visualization, begin by finding a quiet and comfortable space where you can relax and focus your attention inward. Close your eyes and take several deep breaths to center yourself and quiet your mind. Then, envision yourself surrounded by a vibrant and luminous magnetic field pulsating with energy and vitality. You can take a few moments each day to visualize yourself surrounded by a vibrant aura of light, radiating positivity and love to all beings. See yourself accomplishing your goals with ease and grace, and feel the joy and fulfillment that comes with manifesting your desires. How to mentally control.
That's allowing it to propel. And then you could figure out how to manipulate that how.
Take the frequency of the earth and find out what's the equal and opposite tone to it. Wrap your ship in there.
And how fast could this thing go?
You decouple from the earth. You move at, what's the earth moving? At 1,000 miles an hour or so. Takes 24 hours for it to get around.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how quickly is our solar system spinning? Yeah, whatever that tone, whatever that frequency is, whatever that speed is, you decouple from the solar system. Now the solar system moves away from you.
So in that sense, you could move at insane speeds and not experience G-force.
No, nothing whatsoever. And that's what the linchpin or the angles of incidence allows, because now we can decouple from these 6 relative positions.
So when we feel G-force, like when you're in a, have you ever flown in a fighter jet before?
Yeah.
You feel those insane G-forces. What that is the resistance of the Earth itself.
Of the Earth.
Of the spin of the Earth itself.
Of our centripetal place where we are with the, remember the Earth is spinning.
Uh-huh.
The solar system is spinning and acting a force. The galaxy is spinning and acting on it,
So
and now
there's
the
all
planet
these forces
force is
pushing
pushing
down.
in. So if you decouple from them,
then you have no force pushing you through, and you can essentially travel instantaneously to anywhere if you have the right frequency.
The right frequency. It's all frequency. It's all frequency.
That's allowing it to propel. And then you could figure out how to manipulate that how.
Take the frequency of the earth.
The Emerald Tablets of Thoth are said to be about 36,000 to 38,000 years old.
Right.
As I started going through this ancient text,
I'd like to really read up on these emerald tablets. They seem very interesting.
I started realizing a lot of epiphanies, not only with the metaphysical and spiritual context of it, but also I started realizing and noticing technology, quantum physics, quantum mechanics, and general sciences and so forth. I was like, this is really, really amazing. So I started asking a few people, have they read them? And some had, and I started asking for deeper questions to see how much they gleaned from it. It didn't seem as they gleaned enough that I thought I saw. So I continued to go through them more and more. And I said, wow, the world needs to hear what's in these tablets. So I decided to write a book called Compendium of the Emerald Tablets.
Right.
And the compendium is a breaking down of both tablets, which are included inside the actual book itself as well. The Emerald Tablets of Thoth are said to be about 36,000 to 38,000 years old. Right. As I started going through this ancient text, I started realizing a lot of epiphanies, not only with the metaphysical and the spiritual context of it, but also I started realizing and noticing technology, quantum physics, quantum mechanics, and general sciences and so forth. I was like, this is really, really amazing. So I started asking a few people, have they read them? And some have, and I started asking for deeper questions to see how much they gleaned from it. They didn't seem as they gleaned enough that I thought I saw. So I continued to go through them more and more, and I said, wow, the world needs to hear what's in these tablets. So I decided to write a book called
Pretty awesome. These guys are just coming up and figuring out some really amazing stuff. Like I said, I want to check out the Emerald Tablets and see what I can find, and reading the compendium that he's written to simplify it. So I don't know if I should read the Emerald Tablets first, then read this, or then read his book first and then read the Emerald Tablets. Anyways, on that note, boys and girls, we are going to go to our second music break. On this music break, we have Miss Mia Savage with Bury Me in Heaven, Not a Phase, Singing to Your Grave, and the bottom line, you guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this music break.
it's right now between fear and love.
Welcome back, and thanks so much for joining me tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. First 2 hours, we were going over some pretty crazy TikToks. Now, we're going to do some Reddit ghost stories. It's funny, I was looking these up on break, and then all of a sudden my nose started bleeding. I'm like, what the heck is happening? But I was able to track down some pretty cool stories for you guys. Let me just double check my Spreaker eyes. I lost those guys the first hour. Alright, we're good. I apologize again. I'm so sorry, Speaker peeps. This one is by u/HeyJack1427. Paranormal Encounters. So this is kind of long, but I'll make it short as possible. There were many different experiences in my last home. My mom bought the house when I was around 10. There was always an uneasy feeling throughout the house. I have 3 brothers, 2 of which lived with us for a while. They are both older by at least 8 years. The older brother that stayed with us temporarily in the living room floor had a mattress with his daughter. One night he woke up and saw a little girl run through the living room and through the door that goes to the garage. He chased her at first sight, thinking it was his daughter, but turned around and she was still asleep. My other brother claimed that he had seen the chairs in the sunroom move by themselves, and would often get locked out of the main house while he was in the sunroom playing instruments. My cousin stayed with us for a time and slept in my room. I was too scared to sleep in there and would sleep on my mom's floor. He ran in the room freaking out and woke us up before he ran outside after claiming the bedroom window. Nothing was out there. What? Well, claiming he heard a little girl screaming outside the bedroom window. Nothing was out there. My brother's friend stayed the weekend once and was sleeping on the living room couch one night and left during the middle of the night to walk home during the middle of December with no shirt or shoes after saying something was trying to suffocate him in his sleep. As for myself, I finally attempted to sleep in my own bedroom one night, and as I tried to sleep, I heard a penny drop in my closet, and then seen my toy wrestling ring slide across the bedroom floor. I ran to wake my mama and made her take us to a hotel for the night. My mom ended up getting married and we moved out for a little bit. The marriage didn't work and we ended up moving back, but after a few years of this, my girlfriend stayed with us and I had my mom have a new bedroom built inside the garage because I was not sleeping in my old room. One night, it was just me and my girlfriend. She had to go to the other side of the house to use the bathroom, and while walking back, she claims she heard a little girl saying she's going to hell over and over. So she ran back to our bedroom in the garage. As she was shutting the garage door behind her, she felt the door being yanked against her pool. Also, when I was younger, my mother says I raised up in the middle of my sleep and started speaking in a language that she's never ever heard. We no longer live there and never plan on going back. Creepy. I'm excited about this one because I've had paranormal experiences while in the Marine Corps. And this one is by u/Glow Travels the World. No, Geo Travels the World. Sorry, there's a crack in my screen. It looked like an L, but it's actually an I. My experience while in the Marine Corps. So this takes place back in 2005, while serving at the U.S. Embassy in the Ivory Coast of West Africa. One morning, after working my night shift, with the embassy, I returned home to the Marine House. The U.S. Marines lived in a local residence bought and paid for by the U.S. Embassy. It was a 3-story home in what locals would consider an upscale neighborhood by Ivorian standards. The home was fairly large and had a pool, gym, laundry room, and driver's room on the first floor, and housed 5 U.S. Marines that were tasked with protecting the U.S. Embassy and its personnel. On this morning, I was pretty tired. I had just arrived in country and was still getting used to the night shift work. Lots of Red Bulls. I walked up to my room that was on the 3rd story of the house. It was a relatively medium-sized room with a bathroom attached and one large window in the bedroom that was fitted with heavy curtains to keep the daylight out during the day so we could sleep. I was crashing hard from all the Red Bulls. I managed to take my uniform off and get straight into bed. It wasn't long before I reached that state of mind where you're half asleep and half awake. I believe I was at the point where I started dreaming when some sort of sixth sense told me, you have to wake up. I remember opening my eyes and staring at the opposite wall at the foot of my bed. The room was dark, and I was still half asleep as I scanned from the left side of the room to the right. I recall my eyes concentrating on the daylight that was shooting down the side of the wall towards the corners of my room. As my eyes reached the right far corner, I stopped and focused on a dark spot in the corner of the room. I couldn't make out what it was, but the light abruptly stopped before hitting the corner of the room. As I stared at this dark spot, I realized it was a silhouette of a person. It was tall, and I could make out the outline of shoulders and head. My first instinct was that I was dreaming, but after a few seconds, my vision cleared up, and the silhouette was still standing there. As I focused harder on it, I realized it wasn't disappearing, and the realization that something was standing there hit me. I had a quick flash thought of, what the F is that? When all of a sudden, this shadow figure with red eyes, that I can see clearly now, rushed forward and started choking me. Still to this day, I remember the grip it had, with a flash of heat I felt run down the back of my neck all the way down to my feet. I closed my eyes tightly and was paralyzed. I couldn't move. The level of fear that struck me was immense. After about 10 seconds, I felt this grip letting go, and as soon as I could move, my first action was to reach for my K-bar knife that I kept on top of my nightstand. I quickly stood up, ready to stab whatever the fuck was in my room. The next couple seconds were me tearing my curtains open and clearing the room and restroom and repeating, what the fuck, Jesus Christ, what the fuck? My room was completely empty. I went from attack mode to quickly trying to convince myself it was just a side effect of this medication I was on. One of the cons of working in an African post was that they ordered us to take mefloquine, an anti-malaria medication, by our command. One of the side effects clearly stated was the possibility of night terrors. Regardless, I couldn't stay in that room. I ended up falling asleep in the common area with the TV turned on. Fast forward 5 months and we, the Marines, move out of that home and move into the new embassy compound that had just been constructed. Me and another Marine decided to have a movie night and watch The Exorcist of Emily Rose. Oh no. Creepy movie. When it was done, I walked into the kitchen and ran into Sammy, our butler. They had a butler with a crack. Lucky guys. Sammy was in charge of doing our laundry and prepping our meals throughout the week. He was amazing. When he wasn't working for us, he spent his time as a Catholic priest at a local Catholic church. Having the movie fresh in my mind, I asked him, Sammy, if we got possessed by the devil, could you perform an exorcism? Sammy, of course, sir. I do them quite often. Many bad spirits here in Côte d'Ivoire. Seriously, Sammy? Yes, sir. Many evil here. When we moved in, did you bless our new house? Yes, of course, sir. This is a very good home. Not like the old house. That was a very bad house. Instantly, I went cold and asked him to explain. The old house was possessed by 3 demonic spirits. He then goes on to tell me that one morning, while he was doing our laundry in the basement of our old home, he looked into the Marine Corps gym and saw 3 shadow figures with red eyes standing side by side in the corner of the room. He grabbed his crucifix and began to pray before they vanished. He then instructed me to go speak with Joey, one of our Ivorian Marine drivers. I hauled ass to find Joey. Joey was a 49-year-old father of 8 who had worked for 15 years as the embassy Marine driver. Joey tells me one night after dropping off one of the Marines, he returned to the driver's room, where he tried to get some sleep. He was awakened by something whispering his name. When he opened his eyes, something grabbed him and started choking him. He said he swung his arms wildly, but couldn't hit the thing that was choking him. When it finally released him, he ran out of the driver's room, hopped into the armored suburban Marine vehicle, and drove to the U.S. Embassy, where he remained the rest of the night. He never again stepped foot in the driver's room. He told me that sometime later, our gardener accidentally dug up a juju box. That's no good. Bad juju. With bones and voodoo witchcraft trinkets inside. Apparently, somebody had cursed the property according to him. As if the story couldn't get weirder, I headed inside the U.S. Embassy later that day to speak with my buddy sergeant about some work. Our conversation turned to what I had just learned about our old house. Then he had this look on his face. He reached up to his logbooks and pulled out an incident report binder from a few years prior and pulled out a report where a former Marine at the post had reported an intruder in his room that had choked him and disappeared. He slept in the room that I slept in. The Marine was convinced it happened. To the point an official U.S. Embassy report had to be filed. Wow. That is pretty scary. You don't want to mess with that voodoo or hoodoo or whatever it may be. I'm trying to remember, over in Africa, is it called voodoo or is it called hoodoo? Or probably something African, but what does that translate to? I'm not quite sure. Alright, this one is by u/Violinetta. Couple of mildly spooky graveyard experiences. First one just happened today. I'm a huge fan of Raven Reads and a couple of other YouTube creators who do spoken word readings of posts on this and similar subreddits. And I have a lot of personal experiences I want to eventually share to give back to this community in gratitude for the hours of listening pleasure. But what finally prompted me to post was something pretty innocuous, but still pretty spooky, that just happened today. For setup, Mom and I have been trying to find out where my great-grandparents, my paternal grandfather's parents, on my dad's side were buried. We knew the rough location of the cemetery, but because it's technically part of an active military base, we were always scared off by "you enter at your own risk" posted warnings everywhere. What? It turns out, as long as there aren't active maneuvers going on, they're actually pretty lax about visitors to the outskirts, especially if you're a local like us. So we drive onto the base from a back road and drive about a half a mile of the roughest dirt road we've been on in ages before coming right up on the place. Peeking through the trees and the undergrowth along the roadside, and on pulling up, Mom tells me to wait with the dog in the car while she goes and checks it out because, with me being legally blind, she doesn't want me to step on a snake or anything, if it's as overgrown as the surrounding backwood area was. So I'm sitting in the car with the dog, an older black and white terrier mix, sitting on my lap. There's no one around for miles, and the view ahead of us, about 10 feet out, is another tree line with more undergrowth. Still, the dog suddenly sits bolt upright. Her ears perk up, and she starts watching something. She slowly turns her head from left to right, as if she's watching someone casually stroll past the car. Now, as I mentioned, I'm getting legally blind, but I have some sight, and I didn't see one single thing. She doesn't react that way to animals, instead getting excited, sometimes barking if it's a bigger animal than her. But with people, she'll sit and watch, just like she was doing now. This freaked me out a little, so I called Mom to ask her what she thought of the cemetery. She said, "I'm glad you called me because I just found your great-grandparents' graves. But I swear I heard someone walking behind me just now. When I turned around, there was nobody there. I'm on my way back now." We were both a bit weirded out by now and decided to come back another day, now that we know where the cemetery is, and, like I said, neither of us really saw anything. But the combination of my dog watching thin air and Mom hearing something almost immediately after that was enough spooky for one day. I have more stories I'll share in the future, but this one being so fresh in my mind, I wanted to do a quick write-up while I'm still thinking about it. As I was writing this up, I actually remembered another eerily similar experience from a few years ago. Same dog, different cemetery. I don't exactly know where this other cemetery was, just that it's about as off the beaten path, but with an actual paved country road past it, due to it actually being across from a newer, more modern country cemetery. Teenagers have called it the Witch's Grave for decades because there's this massive, easily 100-plus-year-old oak tree whose twisted roots have started to completely take over the nearby graves, twisting around the small grave markers. If I can find the pictures that I took when we visited, I'll edit this to add them. Anyway, as Mom and I were looking at some of these graves, I want to say they were from the mid to late 1800s, we suddenly realized that the dog was gone. We looked around calling her name, but she wouldn't answer. I walked over to the car, and as I came around the other side, I found her hiding right next to the tire, so that the entire old cemetery was blocked from view of her. This dog may be old, but she loves to run around in open spaces like this. Cemeteries have never bothered her before, but this one had her loping out in record time. A bit less spooky than what happened today, but I figured I'd mention it since it's precedent for her seeming to sense something. So, as she said, her dog was noping it. That just reminded me, me and the kids watched a scary movie a week or two ago. I'm going to say about 2 weeks ago. And it was called Nope. And if you guys haven't seen it, I recommend you do because it was pretty dang good. I liked it. It was funny, like, of course they noped, but it had pretty good humor and pretty good effects, and I really liked it a lot. Alright. I have a story. This is by you, PJPNI. So one afternoon, at around 2 p.m. UK time, I was laying in my bed, just kidding, in my bed quilts, half on and half off, you know, one leg in and one leg out. They didn't put the out, I'm pretty sure. That's what they meant, because it said, and one leg. Because it gets insanely hot inside my current flat, so I'm laying there with one bad headache. I'm schizophrenic and had a head injury 14 years ago, which is why my headaches. Anyways, I'm trying to rest it off when I feel something cold squeezing at my left ankle, and my leg got lifted off the bed, and I got lifted up and dragged off the bed. My partner was put at her mom's for the day, and actually got slightly scared and avoided being alone in the flat for months on end. After this occurrence, things went silent. If you exclude things and the feeling of something watching you in the loo, which I searched the flat top to bottom trying to find something which would make a rational explanation, but unfortunately nothing. So about 4 months go by, nothing but uneasy moments and home anxiety. So me and my partner were in bed. I was awake on my phone, and she was sleeping. The time was 2:45 in the morning, UK time. My feet were on top of my quilt this time, and both ankles got pulled up, and I got thrown on the floor. I don't think it's a bad ghost. It just messes with me. Well, that's damn creepy enough, tell you what. And then having schizophrenia on top of that can't make it any easier. And this one is by you/Sativa Slayer 333, asking for help for my mom. My mom has been seeing a tall, dark figure in her room for over a year now. It started in the dining room. She would see it in the corner of her eye. She would be laying on her bed, wake up around 3:30ish, to a feeling of something sitting on the bed with her. She would feel the pressure of it and assume it was one of her kids or husband, and then turns over and looks, and it's just a black figure sitting beside her. After she noticed it, it jerked her back. She then reached to her husband. She struggled to reach for him, and then watched herself, in third person, struggling to try and wake him up. After countless minutes, something finally woke him up, and he said her voice sounded hoarse, like she had been screaming. The second time this happened, it was at the foot of her bed, around 3:30ish a.m. again. The same thing besides the pulling pressure. This time, she just sat up and looked around the room. She doesn't ever watch any scary movies, so it can't be coming from that. Please, someone let me know what I can do. I'm kind of spiritual, so any suggestions will be appreciated. Please and thank you. I don't know. It kind of sounds like, I hate to say this, but some people say sleep paralysis, but to me it seems like an out-of-body experience, because not only is she seeing this figure, but she's seeing herself, right? And then also when you have this happen, it's hard to vocalize. I'm surprised, so I guess she was watching herself, and then all of a sudden she was flung into her body, and then she was able to reach for her husband. I don't know. I need more details. But there's no comments in there, so hopefully somebody will help this person. It's so hard going through paranormal stuff and not having help. So this one is from you_original925. Dead relatives. So this is my dad's story, and I know for a fact that he wasn't lying about this. Excuse me. Now, I've heard 2 encounters about paranormal activity, but the one he told me a few days ago still haunts me every second. So around 20 to 30 years ago, my dad, grandma, grandpa, and great relatives all lived together. However, my great-grandpa was driving down from Noosa. Quid? I don't know. Noosa QLD? To see her sister before she passed. Unexpectedly, she died of a heart attack while down there. The day that this paranormal encounter happened, my dad, grandma, and grandpa went to Sunshine Plaza. If you're in QLD Australia, you might know where that is. So any of my Aussie friends, please let me know what QLD is, because I do not know. So when they return home, my dad and grandpa see my great-grandma, who had passed on the couch reading a newspaper. But the thing is, she wasn't meant to be home for another few days, but they didn't know that. They brought it up with my grandma, to which she broke the news that she had died earlier that morning. Could you imagine? What? They're all seeing the same entity or spirit at the same time. That is so crazy. The second story. This happened a few months ago, but it was about 12 to 1 a.m., and my dad works really late hours in his office at home. However, he felt something pulling his shirt, and he thought that it was me or my brother, but he turned around and saw nothing. My dad told my mom, and he told me what happened. He looked so shaken up from it. That is pretty scary, I have to say. What's cooking, beach? This is a response to their story. Something similar happened to my sister. Our neighbor's son lived in their basement apartment while we were growing up, but he had since moved away, and we hadn't seen him in years. One summer day, my sister mentioned that she had seen him while she was laying out on the roof to tan. She said they had a brief exchange, and he told her to be careful. When she told my dad, oh, sorry, I meant to press the up arrow, and I pressed something else. Alright, when she told my dad, he was shook. He hadn't told us, but the guy had apparently taken his life by jumping in front of a train just days before. The neighbors said they hadn't seen him in months. That is sad. And this is by you traditional-onion 129. If you're gonna be an onion, be a traditional onion. This is called Another Spooky Ghost. New house? I have bells on my doors. The one in the basement opened a few times harshly. If it weren't for the bells, I wouldn't have even known. And between each one, I kept going down into the basement to check. But I didn't see the door. What? I didn't see the door this first time open, just heard. And this time it was the loudest. The second time I closed the door good, it happened again. The bells were creepy AF. Shouldn't open quickly. No air currents strong enough. The hinges are new. Good maintenance on the house. The handle turned, and I fucking watched it pull open. I closed it again. It happened again. I'm a pussy. Only scared of the Holy Ghost. Why would you be scared of the Holy Ghost? Like, that's a good ghost. So what? Are you a bad person? What's happening here? I'm confused by what is going on. What? By the way, when I went down the first time, I checked the whole basement, and I had a suspicion about our storage room / garage. The fan was on and turning. Glad it didn't turn back on like the damn doors. I was gonna clean my room, but now this is all I can think about. Agreeable_jelly_7372 said, just go down and say out loud, thank you for opening the door, but hope I can just stay closed for now, and then close the door. I don't know, but I really don't like it when people use, I don't know, chopped up language when I'm trying to read their stories. Because, I don't know, it just doesn't sound that good to me. It's hard to read. This one is by you, Day3. Do you guys ever feel like you're not alone in your own home, even when everyone is gone? Because I always feel like I'm being watched. I know my grandmother's house is known for creepy things, and guys, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes my grandmother creeps me out. One night, I came out of my room around 3 a.m., almost 4 a.m., and she was sitting next to her door, just staring at me, not saying anything. I closed her door. I got so many chills on my body. My mother always talked about how she would see black figures walk into my grandmother's room, open the door and close it. Not once, but more than once. And my mother's ex-husband has said the same things. I've also heard at 4 a.m. like heavy boots walking in the hallway. Then stop, like it's at my door, just silence. Guys, help. What do you think is going on? I honestly believe that my house is haunted, but not the normal haunt. But only when it wants to come out and do things haunted. Like on its own time haunted. Goodness gracious. I most definitely believe that the man with the boots, that's what I call him, lives in my basement because me and my sister have heard him walk up the steps. And I'm trying to do the up button, come on. Hold on. And my sister sleeps in the basement and hears him walking around. One time, she said she heard her doorknob turn like someone was trying to open it. And that's why she always locks her door when she's sleeping. She's afraid of the basement, and everyone in my house is but my grandmother. She's the only one who denies we have a ghost. What do you guys think? I I think this reminds me of my grandparents. Like, I know they knew what was going on, but they always denied it. There ain't nothing happening. Just go back to sleep. Granny! Oh, there's something. Something after me. Pretty Prickle said, my childhood home, the one I grew up in, was very strange. There I took a selfie and somehow a man was sitting behind me. For example, I'd have so many nightmares and experience so many things there. Until one day I learned that if you don't acknowledge it, it won't be able to come to you. And it disappeared. When I got with my partner, I'd hear him and the kids coming in through the door, just to find out no one was there. It's a phenomenon here in Nordic countries, apparently. It happens so many times that I've gotten used to it. So no, as long as you don't acknowledge it. The original writer says, the scary part about it is, I always ignore it, but it's really strange. My sister has seen and heard worse things being in the basement. I rarely stay down there for too long or sleep down there. It feels like they're being watched. Growing up, I used to play my 360 in the basement with my sister to very late hours, like 4 a.m. Even with her, we both still felt uncomfortable being down there. I find it very interesting how many childhood homes are low-key haunted. Ozzy the Aussie said, hi, I just commented on your other ghost, but I'd be happy to talk about your experience and maybe we can come to some form of conclusion. I collect haunted objects, and I've had many people message about different things happening, so if you'd like to talk about your experience, feel free to message me. Die3 said, me, my sister, and mother believe it has something to do with black magic. My great-grandmother used to do. Ooh. And it may have followed my grandmother still to this day. Oh my gosh, there's so many different comments on this, but check it out. If you read Reddit, go and find Reddit ghost stories, and it's one word. Word. Ooh, I'm glad I skipped because there was a lot of comments there, and you know how I feel about skinwalkers. Oh, so somebody's just asking, have y'all experienced skinwalkers? If so, please tell me your story. Speaking, Skink said, I see them every time I step out in public. Well, I was really looking forward to a skinwalker story. Maybe next time we'll read Reddit skinwalker stories, because that is much, much different than a ghost. Q/SideMuch8442 said, or wrote a story called Sweet Hollow Road. Sorry, I got stuck in the comments in the last story. When I was 16, I was really into scary movies. I just had an urge to see or experience something scary. It was during the summer that I started researching haunted sites I could visit. Then, one caught my attention, Sweet Hollow Road in Long Island. There are a bunch of popular urban legends linked to the site, and all of them have to do with a creepy underpass bridge. A few of the stories speak about the violent deaths of children. One day I told my cousin and brother, who were also ghost story fanatics, that we should visit Sweet Hollows. My cousin had just gotten his license, and my mom insisted on tagging along. It's always good to bring an adult. When we finally got to the underpass, we found nothing. We didn't see anything out of the ordinary. The only scary thing we experienced at the site was that, due to the thin zigzag-like road, we almost crashed into a tree. We thought that the trip was a waste, but then something strange happened. The next morning, my mom swore that during the night, she felt like someone or something was watching her from under her bed. Like peeking out, watching you, or looking through your bed. On the other hand, the rest of us had dreamt of a small boy with black hair. He was pale, and none of us could remember his face. I wonder if he was like one of those featureless ghosts. Those are so creepy. Not as creepy as the kids with black eyes, though. Black-eyed kids, they're crazy. Until this day, we still believe that whoever we saw had to be one of the many children who had died at that bridge. Die3 said, that is scary. You may have took something home with you. I was told that when you visit haunted places, that when you come home to walk in your door backwards so you don't let the negative energy follow you inside. I don't know if it works, but it is scary to think about. Hey. Along with cleansing and carrying protective stones, etc. Maybe try walking in your door backwards. I've never tried that. Sounds like an old wives' tale, but I mean, they got a lot of good stuff going on. Alright, it took me all the way to the top. Come on, guys, work with me here. Yeah. Ooh. This one is by you, Sever_membership 178. I think I saw a ghost that looked like Slender Man. I swear, I'm not making that up. When I was just 9, was playing hide and seek in a dark long hallway with my cousins. We closed the lamps because it was scary, and we felt that it was a good twist to the normal hide and seek to get adrenaline. Anyway, just suddenly saw what looked like a long and black man. No facial features. He was a little transparent. His face was so white. He was wearing a suit and he held a business bag too. He was walking towards me, but it seemed like he doesn't want me. He just wanted to walk past me. And I ran, and I don't remember what happened next. By the way, I don't think at that age that I even knew what Slender Man is. It's funny when you come across entities or whatnot. Like the last trip I took to Arkansas, staying at my sister's house, she had left me alone because her friend had issues with his bike, so we had to go and get parts. And she left me there in her house, and I knew due to a paranormal investigation that we did days earlier that there was a ghost in one of the back rooms. And while she was gone, he was just standing there in the doorway watching me. And I thought he couldn't leave that room because he just stayed in there, and he had 2 little babies that looked like 2 little twin babies, or maybe they were 2 babies of the same age, but they looked alike because they were just wearing diapers. But I think he took their lives. I don't know. That's just what I came up with in this investigation. But anyways, I was like, dude, like, you can keep standing there staring at me, like, you don't scare me. And like, he projected his face like right into my face, which freaked me out because I didn't expect that. I'd never seen anything like that before. And then once I got home, I was telling the peeps that watch me and go to the after party, which I don't offer anymore. I might try doing that again, but I called it the tall man because that's what he was. He was a tall man. And then my friend Robert from Australia said, you know, there is an entity called Tall Man. I was like, I didn't know that. That's just what I called him because that's what he was. So weird. I just heard a thunk out there, and there's nobody home. Everybody's on Cortez. Ooh. This one's by you / South Dakota Ghost Girl. Share your experience? So, I co-host a podcast titled Midwest Spookcast that we are looking for some stories to share at the end. I also have my own YouTube channel. So I hope if you guys have stories, you go over there and help her out because I know how hard it is to get people on as well as book people, period. So I've just been doing like creepy TikToks and story time, etc. Like I've just been so busy with spring that's turned into summer cleaning and then work and everything. I wish I could just stay home and take care of stuff, but I can't. I gotta work and make money. Anyways, this is by you, Rainy. And that's 2 different spellings. One's R-E-I and the other one's R-A-I. Exploding head syndrome? Paranormal? Holy crap, I experienced this too. I've had numerous weird occurrences happen to me during full consciousness and waking up immediately after REM. So I'm falling asleep, and during sleep I hear loud crashing noises, explosions, voices, etc. I've heard it's a sleep disorder called exploding head syndrome, but the symptoms do not include visible hallucinations. Is this some sleep problem I have or paranormal occurrences? Said experiences. I went camping on March 2024 at 11 p.m. Woke up because someone was outside my tent. Sounded like a male from age 20 to 30. He was banishing something else outside of the tent. He also knew that it was me and my sister in the tent, and he said something along the lines of, "I command you to leave these two girls alone. These girls are protected in the name of St. James." Immediately after this happened, my brother in the tent beside us woke up yelling about an animal yelping and stomping outside of his tent. That is weird. I should also mention that I have no idea who St. James was, and I have a very brief understanding of biblical stories. The whole camping trip, we fished for hours and hours and caught nothing. Apparently, St. James was a fisherman who caught no fish until God told him to lower his net. February 2020, I had COVID. I woke up in the middle of the night because someone was talking to me. It stood to the right of my bed and claimed to be the devil. Oh no. I had an encounter with that guy too. It was more of a black cloud/mist that was almost in the shape of a person, and it wasn't exactly visible. It was more of something I felt. There were two cords attached to my body that it was holding. The blue cord was my soul cord, and the red cord was my physical body cord. It said, "Your time here is over," and cut the red one. Nothing happened, but when it was morning, I was convinced I had actually died or was in some sort of different realm of consciousness. Usually my family members would be home, but no one was there. None of my pets were anywhere, and when I walked outside, it seemed like nothing was living. I didn't see or hear any birds. There was no wind, and everything seemed artificial. Weird. This lasted for a few hours. I went back to sleep, and when I woke up, everything was normal. This whole thing was probably a fever dream. I was in 6th or 7th grade, and I had a nightmare, so I went to go sleep in my mom's bed. Straight across from her bed was a dresser with a mirror attached to it. Before I fell asleep, I saw someone on top of it with long dark hair, pale, dirty skin, wearing a white dress, and she was looking at me. She looked like every basic scary woman from the movies. I went under the covers and fell asleep. In spring 2023, I sleptwalked to the kitchen and tried to turn the second kitchen light on, but it was a dark presence that I couldn't see, but it was there. Similar to the previous ones, it was a dark, misty, invisible cloud. I kept turning the light off every time I turned it on. I kept flipping the light on and it kept flipping the switch off. I don't remember going back to bed, but I did. August 2023. I spent the night at my friend's house. I slept on the couch in her room and something was speaking to me. I opened my eyes and saw some sort of red creature protruding through the ceiling. Eek. There wasn't anything imaginable or explainable. She and her family have heard footsteps in her house. When no one is there, every time I sleep at her house, there was some sort of sleep experience. That reminds me, when I was on that break when my nose started bleeding, there was something walking above me. We don't have a second story or an attic. And sometimes that happens when I'm in bed too. It freaks me out. I hate it. So at 3 to 3:10 a.m. On March 9th, I had a dream. My dad and I got our tarot cards read, and they turned evil, but then I felt the pressure on my physical body in the middle of my chest, so I woke up and saw something hovering above me. Not sure if it was positive or negative. I think it was a woman. When I saw it, it quickly flew away through my window. June 2024, I was sleeping over at the same friend's house, and I was very, very cold in my sleep. I woke up to two lady entities at the foot of my bed. I sensing that they were her ancestors or past family members. They were lecturing me for not getting closer to her for her body heat. Slept over at her house a week later, and a man's voice was talking to me saying, "Back to back, it is bad." No idea what that meant. These are some of the many experiences I've had. As for the clashing and voices I hear, those happen almost every night. I've learned to accept the loud noises. I just ignore those now, but sometimes when the voices are loud and clear enough, I sit up to write down what they say. And that's a good idea. So first of all, I just want to say thank you to all of my Spreaker listeners. Thank you so much for being on or listening to the show tonight. I'm so sorry that I failed you. And I hope you come back next week to listen and put up with my shenanigans, because I really appreciate you. And like I said, I really hope you come back, and I hope you're not too mad at me, because I didn't mean to not turn on the speaker. I even had it turned on before, but turned it off for the intro. But then StreamYard had to be... But